Good afternoon from Los Angeles and happy Friday. It's Alyssa Corum here with Ed Carson. We hope you had a great 4th of July. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at Zscaler as well as Amazon and Revolve. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. You know, it could have been a sleepy Friday, but there was actually some interesting action here. We were able to close well off of the lows after starting out looking like it could be a day of somewhat heavy losses.
Yeah, I mean, the jobs report came out stronger than expected, which actually basically took a big Fed rate cut off the table. And the markets are still pricing a quarter-point cut at the end of this month. Next week's testimony by Fed Chief Powell will be interesting, but that knocked the market early on. But then it came back. Oh, wait a second. If the economy is doing all right, maybe we don't need a lot of Fed rate cuts. And so, we basically closed it down a little bit. But the Nasdaq, is only a couple of tenths off of a record high. It didn't hit a record high this week, but the S&P and the Dow did.
Yeah, that's right. So the market uptrend's looking pretty strong, and even though we've been in this uptrend for a little bit here, there are still some names providing opportunities for investors. So let's take a look at Zscaler, which broke out of an ascending base today. It gained about 3%. Volume was about average, given the Friday after a holiday here. But let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing with this weekly chart here, Ed.
Well, an ascending base, you need 3 pullbacks, each about 10 to 20% deep, each one with a higher high and a higher low. That's why you call it ascending. It's sort of like one of these situations where it can't be stopped. It takes these little breaks. And Bill O'Neill discovered, decades ago, this can be really a powerful base. It's unusual. And, this is a fast-growing company in the cybersecurity space. We actually had this as stock of the day on Wednesday because we noted the ascending base. It was added to IBD leaderboard today because of the strong action today.
Yeah, Zscaler along with CyberArk, 2 standout names in this cybersecurity subgroup of the software sector, which has produced a lot of big movers so far this year.
Absolutely.
And we could be seeing Amazon break out into buy range soon. It's about just 1% below a buy point here from a pretty long cup with handle base. Now this would be the first, I guess, maybe official base breakout, at least one that shows up on pattern recognition, although we did have a few other little buy points in there as it kind of did carve this deeper base. Yeah, it had a sort of a flat base within a base at times, but this one would be like this clear, you can obviously see it. The relative strength line on Amazon has been, it's right there at new highs. On the other, it's basically been flat for several months. It really didn't fall too much during the correction. It wasn't super powerful during the spring. I mean, it was strong, but it wasn't like the big winner like Zscaler. It still has very strong earnings growth, estimates going forward, much stronger than the other FANG stocks. I think it's 36% this year, and 40% next year. I guess the one downside would be sales growth has been slowing. A lot of competition with Walmart and others. The e-commerce sector isn't growing as fast as it used to. Exactly, that's for sure. We do have that Prime Day coming up here in a couple of weeks. Amazon always boasts that as its biggest sales day of the year. It's expanding it for, I think, 12 additional hours this year. We'll have to see if that can give a boost. But on the other hand, competition, other e-commerce, at least divisions of companies, whether that's Walmart or Target or even eBay, are targeting customers with their own deals on the same day. So there's a lot of variety to choose from. Absolutely. All right, and elsewhere on the e-commerce front, we are keeping tabs on recent IPO Revolve. The ticker there is RVLV. So it went public not too long ago, and it is carving out the right side of an IPO base here, gaining 11% today, Ed. Yeah, it was really strong action today. It kept on building. It was the stock of the day today.
a nice action. I mean, the sales growth is pretty solid. It's over 20%. It's already profitable. It's supposed to have, I think, 27% earnings growth this year and 29% next year. And so that's pretty solid action for an online retailer that's still relatively new. There's other retailers are doing well. We had the RealReal, which just came public recently, and just retailers in general, are quietly doing all right. It's not
just software.
It's not just software, and
Right.
so that's definitely something to be looking at. Obviously, you want to see it shake out for a while. Because maybe this will never happen. Okay, yes, it's got an IPO base, but it's building the right side.
It's still 20% below a potential buy point, so quite a ways to go there.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching today. Hope you had a great 4th of July and have a happy weekend. But before we go, just a reminder to check out the latest episode of our Investing with IBD podcast, which dropped just a few days ago. So you can head to investors.com/podcast for all the details on that and all of our articles hitting the web now and over the weekend for our weekly edition. You can check out investors.com for all of that. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you back here Monday.